On this edition of In the Life,
our best stories on gay youth, safe spaces for gay kids, a 17-year-old award-winning playwright, and special guest host, Wilson Cruz.
bringing gay teens together to share their thoughts is important.
All up next on In the Life, America's gay and lesbian television news magazine. In the Life is funded in part by the H. Van Ameringen Foundation. Additional support provided by Michael A. Lepin, Jeffrey B. Sorif, the estate of Eldon W. Tamblin, Adam, a funding collaborative empowering queer youth, the Collingwood Foundation, the Guild Foundation, the Mitchell Gold Company, in the hopes of eliminating all types of fear and prejudice. The Gay Network, gay.com, and the annual support of In the Life members like you.
Welcome to In the Life, the television news magazine on gay and lesbian issues and culture. I'm Wilson Cruz. At the LA Gay and Lesbian Center's Village, information and programs targeted to gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgendered youth are an important part of what goes on here. And over the years, In the Life has often explored topics affecting young gay men and lesbians who are trying to come to terms with society and their sexuality. This special edition of In the Life features segments from past shows profiling groups and individuals who are tackling the tough issues gay youth continue to face, some through activism and some through the arts, and others by providing safe spaces where young gay people can talk openly about gender and sexual identity.
I mean, before I came here, I was just ready to drive my car off a bridge. I mean, I was real suicidal, a bunch of problems going on, and my counselor just helped me a great deal in the last 3 weeks.
When I played Ricky Vasquez, the gay teenager on the TV show My So-Called Life, I got a letter from a woman whose son watched the program. The young man had never told his mother that he was gay, and a few years ago, he killed himself. Our first segment is about this very serious problem, the disproportionately high number of suicides among gay teens. In 1997, series host Catherine Linton filed a report on an Oscar award-winning short called Trevor that brought attention to teen suicide and the experience of kids who don't quite fit in.
I can't cover up my feelings in the name of love or playing safe. For a while that was easy.
13-year-old Trevor is fascinated by two things: Diana Ross
Is what I'm guilty of. Go on and sentence me.
and his best new friendship with Pinky. In the film, it quickly becomes clear that his friendship is more than friendly and his interest in the arts a little too much. Word soon gets out that Trevor may be gay, and friends reject him.
Well, I think Trevor really looks at what it's like for anybody who's ever felt like they didn't belong and that they aren't understood and that no one will ever understand them, and sort of the desperation that that can cause.
And please, if it's possible, play Endless Love at my funeral. It's my absolute fave.
Trevor, in some way, is sort of a warning call about what can happen to people when attention is not paid in some way, when kids don't feel that they have any allies and nowhere to turn for understanding and support. In our story, Trevor's lucky. Trevor makes it through, and he's also an incredibly optimistic kid, finally, and fundamentally, after this experience. I think that he's got, a great life force, and that's finally wins out for him in the film. But I think other people aren't so lucky. I think prejudice can kill.
Trevor was, of course, fictional. We take you now to Cleveland, where a young boy named Robbie Kirkland really lived. Robbie, like Trevor, was artistic and not athletic, and was teased and tormented. There was one major difference. Robbie Kirkland succeeded in taking his own life.
Robbie was basically playful, would like to improvise and make things up.
He was a very fun-loving, delightful child.
And basically very shy. All in all, very shy.
At a young age, Robbie also knew he was different.
Robbie was 10 when he knew that he was gay, according to his therapist. When Robbie was in 3rd grade, he asked to be transferred to another school, another Catholic school. He was being teased on the playground. When he was in maybe 2nd grade, I took him to a therapist for counseling to deal with the teasing and harassment. He would come home with his clothes torn, the pants, scrapes on him, a rock was thrown at him.
I'm dying and no one cares. I try to stand and walk. I fall to the hard, cold ground. It feels as if to life I am no longer bound. The others look and laugh at my plight. Blood pours from my nose. I am not a pretty sight. The pain is unbearable. The world is not fair. I'm dying and no one cares.
As Robbie got older, he rarely told his parents of his experiences in school.
He was very quiet about stuff that would bother him. And I don't really, to this day, I really don't know why. Whether he would think that we'd think negative of him, I don't think so. I just don't think that he thought it was something that, you know, I'm going to run to Mom and Dad every time somebody hurts my feelings.
Robbie found that the safest place to express himself was in his writing. His best friend from camp became his main confidant.
Dear Jen, I'll tell you why people made fun of me. I haven't told anyone else this, and it's a secret. You see, I talk different. You know, I have a slight lisp. S's come out THs, and, well, I'm kind of sucky at sports. So people, they don't do it often or have done it recently. Sometimes, only like a few people, have called me gay.
If you're not an athlete as a boy growing up, it is harder. And that has nothing to do with your sexuality. This has everything to do with just boys being the way they are. If you're a boy and you're an athlete, you got one leg up.
The only place Robbie found where sports and speech didn't matter was on the internet.
Well, when he went online, he was going on, you know, to chat with other kids and, you know, just for fun. You know, there's fun things to do. So we thought.
The Kirklands soon discovered, however, that Robbie was busy in gay chat rooms and downloading gay pornography. When confronted, he ran away.
Robbie ran away in March of _96. And where he ran to was to someone that he met online. We found the number in his bag. And also, there was a suicide note, which he had written in February. He had attempted to commit suicide. I did not know this until I found this note with Tylenol. He took a whole bottle of Tylenol.
I'll be dead by the time you read this. It's 5:30 p.m., Mom's at Mass. Whatever you find, I'm not gay. Sincerely, Robbie Kirkland, the boy who told himself to put on a smile, shut up, and pretend you're happy. It didn't work.
He was very depressed. I later learned the reason why he tried to kill himself. He had tried to like a girl at school, trying to prove to himself that he didn't have to be gay, that this was something he could control and change. So we took him to the therapist, and I said to the therapist, if my son is gay, I don't want you to change him. This is the way God meant him to be. I don't want him to live his life as a lie.
Despite this support from home, Robbie still had to face his grade school peers.
I yearn for high school because then I'll just be one face in the crowd and no one will notice me and I'll be left alone.
With high hopes, Robbie attended St. Ignatius, a Roman Catholic prep school run by Jesuit priests.
In high school, you know, I later learned that kids were already teasing him once he got to St. Ignatius, accusing him of being gay and asking his best friend, is he gay?
When Robbie Kirkland, when a young man is gay at our school, often enough we don't know that, and I'm sure that there is kidding that will go on, sometimes good-natured and sometimes less so.
He just knew his future would be very, very hard, but he had told the therapist that he had hoped to find a lesbian girlfriend to be his cover to get through high school.
But Robbie did not make it through even his first year of high school. On January 2nd, 1 week after Christmas with his family, and only 2 days before he was to attend his first gay youth support group, Robbie Kirkland went to his father's attic and shot himself. He was 14.
Those 9 months, when he ran away and took the Tylenol, I think he had already given up on life. He was so unhappy. It was too late almost. So what I saw for the last 9 to 10 months of his life was a very depressed, withdrawn teenage boy.
What keeps this family going is the work of speaking out in an attempt to save other boys like Robbie.
Nothing brings Robbie back. But basically, it's the right thing to do, given everything that happened. If I can help, if it helps anybody, if it helps any kid, if it helps any parent, if it helps anybody, then it's the right thing to do.
For Robbie's mother, raising awareness on the experiences of gay kids seems inspired by perhaps Robbie's shortest poem.
Remember me. I may be gone, but I hope I'm not forgotten.
As I look back on it and I've thought about it, I thought that the last 9 to 10 months of his life was a gift to me from God, because had he died with the Tylenol, I never would have known that he was gay. I would have been so confused, and why is my son dead? I wouldn't have understood it. So I wish it could have been a gift that he could have lived and been helped with therapy and antidepressants, but unfortunately it wasn't to be. But at least I have the insight to understand so that I can reach out to the other kids like him who are suffering, and hopefully they won't commit suicide, and maybe change our society and change the schools just a little bit so other kids don't have to suffer like Robbie did.
Proposed hate crime legislation relies on accurate statistics of anti-gay violence. That's where you come in. If you've been attacked or even threatened, report the incident to the police. If you don't feel comfortable filing a police report, the Hate Crimes Documentation Network offers a new way to report the incident online, anonymously. For a link to the Hate Crimes Documentation Network and other organizations that offer support, visit In the Life's website at inthelifetv.org. I'm Danny Pintaro, and you're watching In the Life.
So many gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgendered teens share Robbie Kirkland's feelings of being an outsider and the need to escape in one way or the other. The next segment focuses on an organization in Miami that works with schools and churches to educate the community about the special challenges gay kids face. It's an organization whose motto might as well be, just say yes.
My name is Martha Fugate, and I'm the director of Project Yes. I was in college before I discovered that I had this strange habit of falling in love with women and not men. I was a homosexual. I wasn't a lesbian because there were no lesbians in North Carolina, where I was from. Like many others, I looked it up in the dictionary and found out I had a mental disease. One of the misconceptions is that it's easier for kids now. And I thought that myself when I started Project Yes, but what I found out is it's really much tougher for kids because they're not coming out when they're 21 or 22 or independent. They're coming out when they're 13 and 14 and 15. 33% of teenage suicides are committed by lesbian and gay kids. I kept hearing that statistic, wishing that somebody would come along and do something about it.
It's somewhat insulting to refer to it as a lifestyle, because it is who they are.
We really looked at the 4 areas of a child's life: school, religion, family, and peers. And we've looked at a way to either have an impact or approach other organizations that are working in those areas that will have an impact on the life of a kid. One of the first things we did was a GED program for kids who have dropped out of high school so they can complete and get a high school equivalency degree.
When I came to Project Yes the first time, I was just recently coming out of a very bad high school experience. I was harassed on a daily basis, I was called names. I had food thrown at me in the cafeteria. I felt like the whole school was against me. I didn't have any place to turn to. And when I go to my counselors, they didn't know how to deal with this issue at all.
My senior year got a little rough because I didn't come out till my senior year. And you start to get looks from people in the halls and people pointing. And then you hear people coming up. I have a little sister who's cheerleader, soccer player. People are coming up to her, your brother's, what's this rumor going around about your brother? Your brother's gay? And I didn't want her to have to deal with crap from people at school because of a decision I had made.
It's not just gay and lesbian kids. It's their brothers and sisters, it's their mothers and dads. It affects the whole family unit.
I was overwhelmed. I was overwhelmed with pain, with a profound sadness, and also with guilt. I was horrified at the fact that this child had been living with me, this child that I adore, and I never realized what was going on. You know, we're revisiting all these moments, and he is the one that keeps telling me, Mama, don't worry, because you're no longer the person that you were then. I'm sorry.
My dad, he took it really hard. He didn't speak to me for almost 6 months. And we were really close. I mean, he coached my soccer team. He went to every school event I ever did. And now all of a sudden he wouldn't talk to me. I couldn't eat dinner with the family anymore. It was, I highlighted my hair in like 3 months after I told them. And that's the first time my dad ever called me a faggot.
Why I was so afraid to come out to my parents was because I was afraid I would be rejected of their love. That's the number one thing. Whether they think it's a sin and all that, it's really extraneous. But to have a kid that's dealing with this issue and is afraid that he's not going to be loved could sometimes, you know, as we've seen at Project Guest, result in suicide or running away from home.
The other thing that we tried to do was to establish the first gay and lesbian PTA in the country. We took it up to state, and the state PTA just wasn't that comfortable with it, and they refused to acknowledge the charter.
The church still has its position that nobody should, outside of marriage, have any kind of physical relationship.
When I first came out, I kind of, I was like, there can't be a God. There's no God. Because no God would create someone just so they can be constantly ridiculed, have nothing but prejudice against them, can cause their family and their friends to turn against them merely because of a feeling they haven't. It's not even a feeling, it's a part of who I am.
I really didn't get involved with Project Yes until I learned that they were really having some difficulties addressing issues of spirituality with their youth that they were coming in contact with. So I participated in the training, communications training that Project Yes gives. It entails being able to deliver the message, a positive message, to the people that we speak to without getting bent out of shape when people don't agree.
I went to that communications course, and that was the beginning of my speaking, and I haven't shut up since then. My son didn't have the strength to confide in us. We're going to different groups of teachers and principals and do presentations about you know, these issues. And I think the most important thing that we're doing is creating the spaces where people can give themselves permission to talk about things like homosexuality and you know, what the gay and lesbian children go through.
We don't need to wait until we all agree on something before we start working together to have a world that's safe for kids. Because I haven't met anybody, no matter what their beliefs about homosexuality, who didn't want an environment that was safe for all kids.
queer Latino and Latina writers took to the stage in New York City for Atrevidos, an event hosted by Barnes & Noble and organized by the Association of Hispanic Arts.
So I wrote with a secret pen. Closet writer, closet case, closet Puerto Rican. And hated Monday mornings, and dated boys, and loved girls. But only in my journal.
I had great legs. My mother invited friends over and asked me to parade around the bedroom in my underwear, showing off my legs. My mother would say, "Doesn't he have legs like Miss Universe?" And one of her friends would add something like, "If I had legs like that, I consider myself the luckiest woman in the world."
You may even be dragged down into the mud collectively, like the people of California who voted for the anti-immigration legislation Proposition 187. They had a fear. And what was their fear? Fear of the tortillas.
My name is Daphne Shalinsky. I'm an ex-mental patient, and this is my story.
In Washington, D.C., a play by Emily Solomon based on Daphne Shalinsky's memoir, The Last Time I Wore a Dress, was staged at the Source Theater.
What's my diagnosis? The diagnosis is a major deal. It's like belonging to a street gang. It's your identity in the hospital.
The play recounts Shalinsky's adolescent ordeals in various mental hospitals, where she was treated for, among other things,
gender identity disorder.
Gender identity disorder.
Which you've had since the third grade, according to your record.
Gender identity.
What this means is that you are not an appropriate female.
Shalinsky herself was a part of the play, standing at the back of the stage and painting images during each performance.
My work as an actor has given me more visibility as an activist, especially on issues concerning gay youth. Last spring, I was one of the speakers at the Millennium March on Washington for Equal Rights.
Today, I've been asked to come here and to accept the torch from those that have brought us this far. And I take the torch and I pass it on to the next generation.
The next segment is a profile of youth activist Wendi O'Neill.
In today's march commemorating Martin Luther King, as with most marches, youth activists play a major role, and Wendi O'Neill is one of them.
We spoke to Wendi at Spelman College, where she's a fine arts major.
I grew up in New Orleans, born and raised. My father was involved in the civil rights movement in SNCC, and my mother is a teacher. I decided to come to Spelman because it was far enough away from home, and I knew I wanted to go out of state. And I thought, well, this is a historically black women's college, and it's perfect for me. Spelman is struggling with diversity, just like many other campuses are around the country. And I think the assumption here is that since we're all black women, we're all going to be the same. And that's not true. So we've had to deal with homophobia on all levels.
Wendi challenged that homophobia when she helped form the Spelman Lesbian Bisexual Alliance.
We recognized here at Spelman, once we got kind of into organizing, that we didn't know what we were doing. And that we needed some help. And a friend of mine knew some people who had told them about this institute that was happening.
Wendi applied to the National Gay and Lesbian Task Force's Youth Leadership Training Institute to learn the skills of grassroots organizing. In the summer of 1995, she, along with 24 other young leaders from all over the country, were in the Institute's first graduating class.
I learned about taking care of myself. As an organizer, to organize for the long haul. I learned how to do specifics when I'm organizing, how to go through the steps of designing something, you know, how to get it from in my head to an actual thing. There's now a 25-person strong national youth organizing network. And I can call any of these people anytime I need to for support, just to say hello, just to say, you know, I had exams and I worked all day, you know, a 12-hour shift, and I, you know, had to cook dinner for my girlfriend and I'm tired. It was the best experience that it could have possibly been.
Wendy's latest project is organizing a monthly story circle.
It's a circle of people who've been called together to tell stories to each other based on your own experiences. For me, it's useful as an organizing tool to find out who's in my community, what we think is important about being in that community, what are the issues that we're living with in intersection. For example, I know that we're dealing with racism, sexism, homophobia, class issues. And we'll get there. What was important to me in my project was that it be a celebration of my life and the people that I live with. I think being an activist is about loving who you are and sharing it, and making sure that that we live in a world that is not hostile to anyone's existence.
Just spit it out.
Okay. What's the best thing I could tell you?
That you've met a fabulous guy for me.
Hello to everybody watching in the live.
Still to come on In the Life. Safe spaces for gay kids in the Midwest.
There's a group for youth of color. There's a group actually starting this month for deaf, lesbian, gay youth.
And a determined 17-year-old playwright.
You can rewrite your play without the lesbians.
But first, activism can take many forms. It can mean taking to the streets and being vocal and visible, or it can mean working quietly to provide care and comfort to those who need it. Earlier, we told you about Robbie Kirkland's suicide. Well, Robbie took his life just 2 days before he was scheduled to visit a gay youth support center, where he would certainly have met other teenagers struggling with similar feelings. On that same program, Catherine Linton visited 2 groundbreaking centers in America's heartland, where adults and peers offer gay youth the support and tools they need.
I grew up in a very small town right outside of Indianapolis. That's about as homophobic as you can get. I know in my school in particular, it's a constant, it's an everyday battle just to get through the day. And there's not a passing period that goes by that I don't hear "dyke" yelled down the hall. And I know it's directed at me because I'm the only person out at school.
You go through the denial and I'm not gay, there's no way I'm not gay, you know. There's just so much that goes through your head when you're growing up. I mean, I've had these feelings since I was like 5 years old. I was like, okay, there's Barbie and Ken. I'll play with Ken.
IYG was the first gay lesbian group to have a crisis line for teenage children who are questioning their sexuality. And we were the first in the country to have that hotline. And I guess it makes me feel proud to know that something like this can happen here.
IYG is one of the oldest gay youth groups in the nation. We're very proud of that fact.
The Indiana Youth Group, or IYG, is also unique in consisting of 10 chapters statewide. It was founded in 1987 by a couple, Chris Gonzalez and Jeff Werner, who have since passed away.
It started off initially in Jeff and Chris's living room on very small meetings and has grown to where we are today. So this December we'll be celebrating our 10-year anniversary. So we're very excited about that.
To be able to come here and be yourself and talk freely and not have to worry about what someone's thinking or what someone's going to say about you, and with your parents not here, it's just an incredible opportunity.
I have a different outlook on life now. I mean, before I came here, I was just ready to drive my car off a bridge. I mean, I was real suicidal, a bunch of problems going on, and my counselor just helped me a great deal in the last 3 weeks.
Our youth are involved in our program as well. It's my goal to make this as peer-driven of a program as possible.
What Steve found in his work is a recent study that shows Indianapolis is not immune to the problems associated with most cities.
What they found in 1 month, 500 youth living on the streets in downtown Indianapolis, that was a staggering report. It's staggering from my standpoint because then you start to look at some of the reasons those kids are homeless. Many times sexual orientation issues are right up there with the top 3 for a reason a youth will leave their home.
Another city facing similar problems is Minneapolis. a city where many gay youth in the Midwest land after leaving home.
I found an attorney and I sued my school.
One of them was Jamie Nabuzny, the Safe Schools advocate and successful plaintiff in the 1996 landmark lawsuit against his Wisconsin high school for suffering anti-gay violence.
Initially, I ran away from my hometown and went to Minneapolis and St. Paul. And after arriving there, I realized that there was a center for gay and lesbian youth called District 202. And I immediately got involved.
What is District 202? It's a community center by and for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender youth and allies. My vision is that the youth define it, and that the youth have the vision for it, and that my job is just to help make it happen.
Testing positive for the HIV virus sparked 29-year-old Michael Kaplan's continued involvement with District 202. As head of their new 7,000 square foot space, he oversees discussion groups, HIV education, socials, and outreach programs.
There's a general support group that meets in there. There's a group for youth of color. There's a group actually starting this month for deaf, lesbian, gay youth, HIV positive youth, riot girls, you name it.
Like IYG, youth have a major role in shaping the center.
The other pieces where youth help to define it is through hiring practices. Any adults that are hired here are hired with youth on the hiring committee.
Youth were also involved in designing the new space, which led to the addition of a bathroom for transgendered or questioning youth.
3 bathrooms, women's bathroom, gender neutral, and then men's bathroom. We started with 2, brought the drawings to the kids, and the youth said, you gotta have a transgender bathroom, brought it back to the architects. They're like, huh? They were very cool about it though.
It's just a relaxed atmosphere. You can just hang out, do what you need to do, talk to other people who look like you, and where you're not feeling ostracized, people aren't like pointing at you.
Without District 202, I probably wouldn't have my jobs, and I probably would be in a shelter or something, or in jail or something, I don't know.
Unlike most youth agencies who say, let us help you and provide the services, District 202 says, what do you want to do and how can we be of help with that?
A lot of times we don't have our families, we don't have our communities to support us, and so the gay and lesbian community is our family, it is our community, and they need to be there to advocate for us, for safety, for letting us be kids.
Youth are doing it themselves, So that's cool.
So we do make them.
Yes.
Youth centers and support groups like District 202 and IYG can be lifesavers for gay youth. Knowing and being able to talk to other people like yourself means a lot when you're feeling isolated and lonely, and life can be more hopeful when you have a safe, supportive place to go. The website Out Proud helps people across the country find information, resources, and local sources of friendship and support. You'll find a link to Out Proud on In the Life's website at inthelifetv.org. Take a look, spend some time learning about the resources available to gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgendered, and questioning youth. I'm Jordan Roth, and you're watching In the Life.
In October, the Gay, Lesbian, and Straight Education Network, which works to end anti-gay bias in K-12 schools, held its conference in Chicago, Illinois.
Welcome to our 4th Annual National Conference, Teaching Respect for All. You are over 800 people from a record 47 states.
The keynote was given by Bob Chase, president of the National Education Association, who weathered much criticism from conservative members of his organization for voicing the importance of showing support for gay and lesbian students and teachers.
This is not a matter of promoting a, quote, unsafe and abhorrent lifestyle, as one of our members put it, but a matter of protecting one of the most valuable populations from unsafe and abhorrent behavior. It's not a matter of recruiting gay or lesbian students or teachers, but of retaining them.
My 2 moms are Marilyn and Adrian. My 2 dads are Michael
and buried.
There's all different kinds of families. There are families with one parent, two parents.
Some relatives.
A foster parent.
Kids who are raised from their aunt or their uncle or their grandma or just one mom or two moms.
In 1996, Deborah Chasnoff brought the discussion of homosexuality into American classrooms with the controversial film, It's Elementary.
And what we heard in the course of distributing It's Elementary is that teachers are now saying, okay, I get it. I want to do more to make this a safe school learning environment. I want to do something to end the silence around gay people among children, in the discussions with children. But I need resources to help me do that. And That's a Family is one of a series of media resources that we're producing that give teachers a tool to use in the classroom to talk about issues of diversity and do it in a way that includes gay and lesbian people for the first time in media that's for children. This film has a very, very wide appeal to a constituency much broader than the gay and lesbian community because there are so many different kinds of families reflected in it, and there are a lot of families, not just those headed by gays and lesbians, that are underrepresented and invisible to children in the media. Well, That's a Family is the first part of a three-part series we're producing called Respect for All. And the other two films, one will be about name-calling and one will be about stereotypes.
There is lots of kids who have gay parents, but they just don't want no one to know because they think someone's going to make fun of them. Some people might, but some people won't.
That's a Family and its accompanying curriculum guide will be distributed to schools, religious organizations, and social workers across the country.
Theater can be an exciting and powerful forum for expression. When I played a young drag queen named Angel in Rent, I had the opportunity to create a character who wasn't the usual stereotype. The final segment on the show is about a controversy caused by one play and the 17-year-old who wrote it. In a tale about censorship and determination, Samantha Gellar received an outpouring of support from lesbian and gay artists, including in-the-life correspondent Tanya Barfield, who is herself a writer.
I didn't listen to his jive. I knew all along.
Samantha Gellar is a teenager and aspiring playwright from Charlotte, North Carolina, who recently wrote a one-act play called Life versus the Paperback Romance.
The play's about a blind woman and a woman who writes paperback romances, and they fall in love.
Samantha submitted her play to the Charlotte Young Playwrights Festival and was chosen as one of the 5 winners. But her play was the only one that was not produced. The subject matter was considered inappropriate for a junior high and high school audience.
And I thought that was bullcrap because, when I was in middle school, I was already questioning, and I don't see where it could be unacceptable.
I read the play. I'm reading the play. I'm looking for it. Where's the anal sex? Where's the violence? Where's the stuff I could get really upset about? And I read this marvelous, gentle evocation of 2 women characters who feel real to me.
I'm a fan of the hourglass shape. Hourglass? It's like out and in and out. Show me. I have no idea how to show you. Do you have an hourglass? Well, I guess. Then how the hell am I going to figure it out? Okay. I don't see where it can be all that exciting. It is.
You couldn't pick a more benign lesbian play to get by in North Carolina. What is wrong with you people?
I think I first read about what happened to Sam in the New York Times, actually.
Holly Hughes is a performance artist who knows about censorship. In 1990, she was one of 4 artists targeted under a congressional statute on indecency. As a result, their grants from the National Endowment for the Arts were rescinded.
Some people called us the NEA 4.
Other people refer to us as Karen Finley and the three homosexuals. If there's anything that's less fundable than queer theater, it's got to be queer youth work.
Hughes organized a reading of Samantha's play at the Public Theater in New York City to raise money for gay youth organizations. The night before, Samantha and veteran writer Dorothy Allison read from their work at Blue Stockings, a woman's bookstore in New York's Lower East Side.
Now, how do we want to do this? You want to go first, she's first?
It's really exciting. I've never done a reading at a bookstore before. I've never attended one. I'm just shaking with excitement, getting to read with one of the best authors of our time, Dorothy Allison.
Allison, National Book Award finalist and author of Bastard Out of Carolina, had come to New York to help publicize the issue.
When I was 17, I didn't know any out gay people at all. First of all, I want to say how glad I am to be here with Sam. I said, okay, I will come and help you do pre-publicity because I've been in this position. You know, I've been going along, doing my work, getting published, and had somebody slap me in my face and say, what the hell do you think you're doing? You're a dyke, which is exactly what happens. And then you feel like somebody has grabbed you, pulled the ground out from under you, and told you that the thing you want most to do in the world, you really can't and aren't allowed to do.
And the guy called up and he said, you just won. You get $100. I was like, woo!
That was what was surprising, that she won an award.
He's like, you're one of 5 top writers. Your play will not be performed on stage.
Because usually queer material, particularly in a children's playwright contest, would have just been censored.
And you have 3 choices. 1, you can rewrite your play without the lesbians.
And actually it was Samantha who decided she wasn't going to take this. In fact, other plays with gay content had won in the past, but the artists had always agreed to edit out the content.
One last question. What is your best hope of what it's going to come out of? You're coming to New York and the production of the reading at the Public.
That it will be seen by middle and high school audiences in Charlotte, North Carolina. The fact that any of this is happening, the fact that the reading's happening is just so amazing to me. Now I'm meeting the people that I just wish I could even come close to when I was a kid.
Good evening, welcome. We're so glad you're here. I am Kate Clinton, and this evening I'm going to be your MC, your docent, the dominatrix for the evening.
I didn't think it was going to be as big an undertaking as it started out to be.
This is how lesbian organizing happens. And she says, well, if I get a certain number of names who will agree to come and do this thing, then we can get a theater.
Please welcome, hold on, Leah Delaria.
Dear Samantha, thank you for providing what the dramaturgs like to call the inciting event for tonight's extraordinary celebration.
Gay and lesbian artists, including myself, came to the Public Theater to support Samantha and to speak out against censorship.
When I started working on this and I started thinking, oh, I could get really great statements from queer artists who'd been censored, I realized that was all queer artists.
Look around you. Take these men and women in. These are the people fighting the good fight for people like you and me.
I'm very clear that this would not have happened as well or as quickly or with as much success if some of us didn't have the kind of power that we've established.
The opportunity to do something for a young queer kid was great.
So thank you all for coming tonight. Please welcome to the stage Mary Louise Parker, Lisa Crone, and Tanya Barfield.
I like you. I love you. You're the most amazing person I've ever met, and I want to love with you forever. I wanted to tell you this, but I was scared you might not have wanted me.
given that we don't necessarily have to be the same kind of people all the time or even agree, when we are attacked, we bond and fight back. That's a wonderful thing.
Since the publication of my novels, I have received letters from students concerned about the omission of gay and lesbian books from their school libraries. This censorship is due to pressure from conservative groups and some parents. Many schools have pulled books with information about homosexuality, from gay role models to HIV prevention, from their library shelves. This kind of censorship can further isolate gay and lesbian youth, who, according to studies, are 3 times more likely to commit suicide than straight teens. For a list of websites that offer information and resources for gay and lesbian youth, visit In the Life's website at www.inthelifetv.org. I'm Scott Heim, and you're watching In the Life.
Like Samantha Gellar, other young queer artists are demanding to be heard. Here again is Tanya Barfield with the story.
During the 90s, a new generation of poets exploded onto the scene in coffee houses and colleges all over the country. They were on the cutting edge of a provocative new genre called slam poetry. The initial idea was to get audiences listening to what is often considered a rather sedate art form. But as you've probably guessed by the name, slam poetry is anything but. It has shocked and challenged live audiences as well as the mainstream literary community. A poetry slam is a competition where artists are rated on both verse and verbal skills. Up next, 3 queer poets who are champions of the slam style.
I believe Harriet Tubman should be on the dollar bill. We've had our fill of white boy faces, time to change places. I believe Hillary, not Bill, should have worn the crown.
Slam is evocative. It's real, it's gritty.
Slam poetry is rebellious. But you see, my friends, my sisters are my family, because they love and accept mis locuras and don't consider me una desgracia de la familia.
You want to play with me? You can. Just quit orientalizing, because I ain't gonna change my cotton-knit Calvins for you or my mother if I lose.
You can go from Seattle to Maine. People are slamming.
Quick moves in a traffic-dodging dance.
I didn't want to be white, but I was told I had no choice.
I don't know if I'll ever get used to cruising at bars. You learn by doing, or so I'm told.
My entire life, I was an actress, and my entire life, I'd done these dumb girl parts. So I just got so sick of those parts. That the rage, I mean, there was rage contained in my first poems. And the first time I heard my own voice, I think I probably started to cry, because I had never really been entitled to that before.
When I finally pulled out of, drug dealing, prostituting, whatever, there was a time when I seriously thought that I was HIV positive. I wanted to leave something behind. I wanted to leave a message.
I never liked poetry at all. I just wanted to be an actor, and I thought, I'd be in Miss Saigon, but it didn't happen like that. So I had to write, and slam came down. People responded well. And it was a kind of response that I never got as an actor. And a lot of people who enter the slam, who are really successful, have come from other art forms that, wouldn't accept them.
I slam because people listen when you slam, and because I have something to say. I think in terms of poetry, and I think in terms of lyrics, and your voice is your guitar, and your body movement is your rhythm, and it's like being a one-person band.
Yeah, they'll rob your job, soak up the last 3 drops, and this trickle down under country.
Are you Pizarro or Cortez? And my motto is don't bore people. So every time I do a slam poem, I feel like, it's like my Broadway show-stopping moment.
You Asians got the best skin.
What do you Orientals use?
Slam is also making poetry accessible, just to get the message across of queer identity, Filipino identity, and making it fun and showing that we are multifaceted human beings.
I'm a man in love with a man, I'm a gay man, and I live with a man.
This prejudice is the pain that clouds my eyes and knots my spine, the scars on the back of my head. When I was out on the streets, I hung out a lot with members from the house community. I went to a lot of different balls, and basically they were just stylized competitions. And when I first entered the slam scene, I noticed the similarity. I mean, the only difference was that people were competing with words and not competing with, like, runway or, like, in voguing. Knock. And I wanted to bring these two worlds together because they were two worlds that had influenced me so much. As it turns out, I mean, the poetry balls that we've had have been very successful.
Careening on the edge of insanity. Only in blue moons do I see humanity. I've only brushed against love. I've never touched it.
The slam attracts just teens in general because they need slam because they want the truth told to them. And they also want to say something. It's probably the most rebellious, eloquent way to really speak.
It's this celebration of this different thing that is really great, you know, and really cool. And I wish I'd had that when I was first, you know, experiencing those feelings. I wish I'd had a stage to talk about it on and had other people scream for me and applaud those feelings as opposed to, you know, closing the book and going on with my homework.
As long as people have something to say, as long as a coffee house culture exists, as long as the internet hasn't taken over our lives, we will always be slamming.
I think poetry in general is very healing, you know, when you let go of the words, you know, it's a great feeling.
I think slam poetry has a long lifespan, and I think that's because people are so desperate for this connection to each other.
I believe art is universal. If you're a white male artist talking to straight white men, I believe feminism's in reversal when we believe art is universal, because then we're just believing them.
The government asks me to check one if I want money. I say, how could you ask me to be one race?
But la única palabra that we do not understand is hate. Y que siga la tradición, bajo la luna maybe, pero jamás en el corazón.
For all of us at In the Life, thanks for watching, and see you next time.
I can't cover up my feelings in the name of love, or playing safe. For a while that was easy, and if living for myself is what I'm guilty of, go on and sentence me, I'll still be free.
That's why I got to go by the one night. My parents got afraid I didn't know what to do. But I saw some crazy things before I came through. Now do you think I was crazy? I'm even only free, but I was swinging.
But we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there. But we know we will. Oh yeah yeah. 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 Oh yeah yeah.
In the Life is funded in part by the H. Van Ameringen Foundation. Additional support provided by Michael A. Lepin, Jeffrey B. Sorif, the estate of Eldon W. Tamblin, Adam, a funding collaborative empowering queer youth, the Collingwood Foundation, the Guild Foundation,
the Mitchell Gold Company, in the hopes of eliminating all types of fear and prejudice. The Gay Network, Gay.com, and the annual support of In the Life members like you.